Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. Today we're going to be talking about the movie Brightburn. So, Brightburn, I remember seeing the trailer for this, quite a good amount of time ago, and, I remember watching it and I was like, I was sort of interested, but it wasn't something I was like, super hyped about. So, as the release date came closer, I was like, yeah, this might be one that I'm going to decide to, put off, maybe wait till it comes out on streaming or, released on Blu-ray or whatever. And I'm definitely glad that I didn't. I started to hear, a lot of good things about it. And, people just saying that it was a really, surprising film. So I was like, all right, I figured out, hey, I'm going to go check it out. And so basically what this film is if Superman was to be bad. The basic setup of the film is you have this couple that, they're trying to have a kid. They've been trying for a while. They live on a farm, and all of a sudden one night this meteor spaceship, crashes to Earth, and they end up finding a kid inside there, and then they try to raise him as their own. So does that sound familiar? So it's basically the story of Superman, but instead of him growing up to become a hero, he turns out to be evil, and very evil at that. So this film is directed by David Yavarski, and it's produced by James Gunn, and it's also, I believe, written by one of his brothers, if not two, because I think both their last names were Gunn. And so, I was interested to see James Gunn, attached to this. He did do Slither, a while back, which was, a fun, like, horror movie that he put together. So was definitely curious. And, as far as the cast goes, you have Elizabeth Banks, you have David Denman, who plays, like, the dad, and then Jackson A. Dunn, who plays the son, Brendan. And I thought, as far as, like, some of the positives go, I thought that you had, pretty solid performances, I thought, from all of them, both the mom and the dad. You could tell that they, really cared about them and, this family's relationship. And for the most part, they didn't make a lot of too many stupid decisions, I should say. So really actually like these characters, which is always a plus, especially when you're going to the horror genre. A lot of times you could really get some, token characters. And, as far as this film goes, I really don't believe that's the case. And I thought, Brendan, I think that he did a good job, starting off as kind of this, like, loner kid, and then once he kind of, starts turning evil, he was actually pretty creepy at moments, which was something that I wasn't really expecting when going into this film. Now, one of the other things, too, that I liked about this is that it's, this film doesn't really have a lot of fat to it. I believe the runtime's about, like, an hour and 31 minutes. So it pretty much, once it opens up, it gives, like, the backstory. You see him crashing to Earth, and then from there it kind of fast forwards to, I believe, when he's like 12 years old. So it really doesn't, once it gets going, it gets going. There isn't a whole lot of, fat that could have been trimmed from this film. So I did appreciate that. I like that, it got right down to business. As far, one of the other things that I really appreciated with this movie was that it is rated R, which I don't know if at the time when I first, like, saw the trailer, if they had a rating at the time, but I was like, no, this looks like it could be like a PG-13 horror, film or whatever. And no, this is definitely rated R. And there is, a couple scenes that you definitely realize that, because some of the kills, actually pretty much all the kills, they really don't shy away from the moment. And one of the things I will say is that as far as the kills go, is if you're someone who is a big horror fan, like I am, I don't think you're going to be shocked or anything, because I have seen some reviewers out there saying, like, oh my god, it was so brutal, and, it was just, like, tons and tons of gore, and it's like, it was definitely surprising, but I think it was more surprising for me because, like I said, when I first saw this trailer, it looked like something that could have been, like, kind of PG-13, and then when it did end up being rated R, it could have been one of those rated R movies that are basically pretended to be rated R, and they kind of shy away from certain things. But that's definitely not the case with this film. They do show you quite a bit, and so I was surprised by that. So if you're someone who watches a lot of horror, might not be too surprised, but for people that definitely aren't big, fans of the horror genre, you guys will definitely be in for a treat when you see this. So yeah, overall, I mean, I had a really good time with this film. Like I said, this was something that was totally, totally surprised me. I really didn't have too much interest going into it, but I thought, just from, the story itself is, an interesting premise that, what would happen. And I know they've done that in like comics and stuff like that, but what would happen if, Superman was evil? I thought that was something, interesting to tackle and blend the, the genres of horror and superhero kind of together. And I thought they did a really good job with that. You get some really cool and, gnarly kills in this film, so horror fans, I feel like, will appreciate that, and just, overall good performances from the cast. So they're really, as far as like negatives go, the only thing I can think of is that, as I did mention, which was one of my positives, that there's not really a lot to trim from this movie, but I do wish at certain parts of the film that they did maybe explore certain aspects of the story a little bit more. And I don't know if there is going to be a sequel to this film, because just a heads up, there is, like, once the end credits come around, there are some little extra scenes at the end there. Don't know if they're trying to set up for a sequel or multiverse kind of thing or whatever, but definitely stick around for that. And you have a nice little appearance by Michael Rooker, which he's in like all of like James Gunn's films. So overall, really good film. Definitely surprised me, and I think it seems like it's surprising a lot of people out there. Unfortunately, it's not doing too well at the box office, so if you guys do get a chance, definitely go see this film, go and support it. And as far as the score goes, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. So definitely check it out. I will be picking it up when it comes out on Blu-ray. And keep an eye out for, I'm going to be actually doing my review for Godzilla King of the Monsters real quick too, because I saw that as well. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe, and also hit that bell next to it so that way you get any notifications. And as always, make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.